Since their invention in the 1940s, nuclear weapons have shocked the world. Following World War II, devices were created that so far surpassed the power of the ones used in the war, it's almost hard to comprehend. From the Castle Bravo test, whose explosive power was more than double what scientists expected, to the Tsar Bomba, the most powerful and destructive nuclear device ever created on our planet. Here are the 5 largest nuclear tests that were ever caught on camera. More than a few decades ago, the first large-scale test of a thermonuclear device took place. The code name given was Ivy Mike, and it produced a blast of 10.4 megatons of TNT. Due to the size of the device, it was known beforehand that it would never be suitable for use as a deliverable weapon. Instead, it was considered a conservation project, basically meaning that it was a proof-of-concept experiment. On October 31, 1952, the United States tested the bomb on the island of Eluge Lab. Images show that the device itself resembled that of a factory more than a nuclear weapon. The building itself was made of aluminum and given the nickname Shot Cab. After months of planning, a brief countdown commenced and Ivy Mike was detonated. In total, 9,350 members of the military and 2,300 civilians were involved in this one test. Work was finally completed on October 30th at 5 p.m., and within an hour, everybody involved was evacuated to a safe distance. The mushroom cloud created rose to a height of 56,000 feet in less than 90 seconds. A minute later, and it had reached over 108,000 feet. The blast was so powerful, it completely erased the island on which it occurred from the map, as before and after pictures show. But this was only the beginning for the United States. And, as you're about to see, many larger tests occurred in the coming years. Now, if we talk about the biggest nuclear tests, we cannot fail to mention Operation Castle. Operation Castle was a series of high-powered military nuclear tests conducted by the United States Joint Task Force 7 on Bikini Atoll, an uninhabited atoll of about 6 square kilometers that is part of the Marshall Islands. It is a very famous site on the planet because of the immense amount of nuclear testing that took place there. In fact, it is estimated that between 1946 and 1958, more than 20 atomic and hydrogen bombs were tested in the territory. And the incredible TX-17 launched in the Castle Romeo test was among them. On March 27, 1954, TX-17 became the first air-dropped thermonuclear weapon to be tested. Due to its destructive capacity of 11 megatons, the explosion of the bomb was overwhelming and resulted in a large red light illuminating the entire sky. The test was considered to be a great success and led to further tests in the area, including the largest nuclear bomb ever detonated by the United States. But first, we must show you the second largest, a test codenamed Castle Yankee. On May 5, 1954, the United States tested yet another nuclear device at Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands. This one was named Castle Yankee, and it released energy equivalent to 13.5 megatons of TNT, making it the second largest nuclear test done by the United States. The estimated yield from this device was roughly 9.5 kilotons, so it was surprising to many when this number was far exceeded. 2 minutes after detonation, the mushroom cloud rose to a height of 40,000 feet, equivalent to 32 Empire State Buildings. Roughly 4 days after this test, fallout reached Mexico City, some 7,100 miles away. There were some technical difficulties during the tests, but officials largely considered them a success. However, the tests performed at Bikini Atoll also altered public perception about the safety of nuclear tests once they'd become aware of the long-term side effects of fallout. There is one nuclear device in the history of the United States that stands out above the rest. It was the largest ever detonated by the country, and one that surprised even the experts. The code name of the bomb was the Shrimp, but many of us know it by its operation name, Castle Bravo. Much like the other Castle tests, this one occurred at Bikini Atoll, and on March 1st, 1954, the Castle Bravo test commenced. It was noteworthy for being the first lithium deuteride-fueled thermonuclear weapon tested by the country. Scientists expected the bomb to produce an explosion of 6 megatons. However, due to unforeseen reactions from the use of lithium-7, the blast was measured more than double that size, coming in at 15 megatons. As a result of the greater-than-expected yield, radiological contamination spread to nearby islands, affecting U.S. soldiers and inhabitants living in the region, along with a Japanese fishing boat. It took 3 days to evacuate citizens, but by then, it was too late. Hundreds suffered from radiation sickness. The blast led to an international incident over thermonuclear testing, with traces from this event found in places like India and Australia. A few years later, in 1963, a partial nuclear test ban treaty was signed to hopefully limit incidents like these from happening ever again. Operation Hardtack 1 was a series of 35 nuclear tests conducted by the United States that included more nuclear detonations than the sum of all previous nuclear explosions in the Pacific Ocean. This operation, led by Joint Task Force 7, involved approximately 19,100 personnel, including members of the U.S. military, civilian employees, affiliates of the Department of Defense, and the Atomic Energy Commission. The tests, which took place between April 28 and August 18, 1958, became some of the most fascinating nuclear tests ever recorded on camera. On May 16th, a test known as Wahoo took place. While it's not on this list for being one of the biggest, we included it because it gives you a new and high-definition look at the scale of a nuclear blast, and because it's one that occurred underwater. Within 7 seconds of detonation, the dome spray had reached a height of over 800 feet. A target ship stationed about 3.5 miles away was directly hit by the shockwave, which shook it violently. The test was considered a success and paved the way for further underwater tests to take place in the following months. And now, let's have a look at the largest nuclear device ever detonated in the history of the world, the Tsar Bomba. On October 30th, 1961, the Soviet Union tested the largest nuclear device ever created. To this day, no other country has come close to topping it. The Soviet RDS-220 hydrogen bomb, also known as the Tsar Bomba, was detonated above the Sukhoinos Cape of Severny Island, a little over 9 miles away from Mityushika Bay. Although the detonation was planned in secret, United States intelligence was able to detect the blast given its size. It is said that the bomb produced a yield of roughly 58 megatons of TNT. To put that into perspective, that's almost 3,000 times the strength of the device used on Hiroshima in World War II. According to reports, the detonation was large enough to break windows located 560 miles away, and the flash of light was visible up to 620 miles away. A blast of this magnitude would be capable of creating a fireball roughly 6.3 square miles in size, and any living creatures within 4,080 square miles of the epicenter would likely suffer third-degree burns. In recent years, Russia has declassified never-before-seen footage of the blast, showing us the full power of the Tsar Bomba.
Осталось 3 секунды. 2, 1, 0. Взрыв сопровождался световой вспышкой необычной силы. В этот момент самолет-носитель находился в 45 километрах от места сброса. Вспышка и последующее свечение, несмотря на сплошную облачность, были видны в радиусе до 1000 километров. Через несколько секунд после взрыва диаметр пылевого столба составлял около 10 километров.
Thankfully, the Tsar Bomba was never designed with the intention of being used in battle. The goal was simply to demonstrate the nuclear power of the Soviet Union as a deterrent to its enemies at the time. Believe it or not, the plans to build large-scale nuclear weapons did not stop here. Originally, there were plans to build an even larger version of the Tsar Bomba, one that would produce a yield of nearly 100 megatons. The problem was that the delivery aircraft, no matter how fast, would not have been able to outrun the blast. So, plans were scrapped. Well, that's all we have for this video. If you enjoyed it and want to see more just like it, then be sure to click the link on screen now. With that, thanks for watching, and be sure to tune in next time.